Hey, welcome to the Tim and Gugabe podcast. This is your host, Tim. Like and subscribe to the channel. Gugabe, we're doing this a little early than usual. I was just too excited to I feel like we have to talk about Strickland Adesanya soon, but how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Tim is very proud of putting 0.1 units on Strickland. Got him. Nice to see he actually bet a dog for once. Yeah, pretty good. That was good. Solid card. Yeah, I think it was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, we can just get right into it. I think this is what I thought of the fight. Going into the fight, like we had talked about it, I thought Adesanya was going to win like a really competitive decision, but I was like, the line's clearly off. Yeah, this is fucking amazing. Yeah, this is true too. Like they're idiots. We can talk about that too. But this is what I thought. Like I thought the head strike metrics I've talked about, Strickland literally, like it's not like he like barely outlands people with the head. He like triples or quadruples everyone up. And Adesanya's lost plenty of head strikes battle. I think even to Romero he did. And I was like, Strickland, if he can get in that boxing range, is going to be like, he's a better boxer, definitely like in the pocket for sure. And I thought he could walk him down. And I kind of thought it would be a thing though, like where Izzy could land kicks early. And like in the first round, outside of that flurry by Strickland, Izzy was doing some of that. And then I thought Izzy won round 2. And I thought Izzy was going to like kind of weasel his way and kick his way to a couple of rounds and maybe sneak out another one. But I did think he was going to get walked down like Strickland did and kind of like pressured. And then Strickland could maybe win some of the later rounds. That's kind of what I thought. But Strickland hurt him. And then Izzy gassed more than I thought. But also Strickland had answers for the leg kicks. Like he was checking leg kicks immediately. And in that first round, I remember in the first few minutes, I was like, I was watching it with a girl and I was like, I think Strickland's going to win. Like, I think like just seeing how he was like checking those leg kicks, like a few minutes in, I thought he was going to kind of do it. But yeah, like I thought he could give Izzy issues, but he just like had answers for the leg kicks. And then Izzy just did not like the pressure at all. And we've kind of seen that. And I do think Izzy's declining a little bit. But you kind of see it the same way.
Yeah, broadly. Yeah, I think we both said last week, unless the leg kicks just took over the fight, like I didn't see how Izzy could possibly cover like that price against sort of another busy striker. But like, my feeling on striking is unless you have a massive volume differential on your opponent, which Israel didn't have here because Strickland is just so busy. Like, yeah, I just couldn't see how Izzy was going to fathomably cover that price unless you could just leg kick him and just win the fight that way. Because that's like the main. That's like I feel like leg kick I win is like the main form of striking where it's just like that guy was minus 2,000 hindsight because the other guy couldn't deal with them. I do feel like the first round knockdown probably gave Strickland quite a bit of equity, that kind of stuff. Because like again, like Izzy probably won 8 of the first 10 minutes, and like it could be and. Fighting's kind of weird. I think there's like a psychological aspect, that kind of stuff. And like, it wouldn't shock me if you saw another version of that fight where like Strickland never gets the first round knockdown, and then he just kind of just slowly fades out the fight, kind of thing. Like, I think there's like that psychological aspect and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was excited tweeting last night, but like after a day and you kind of think about the fight a little more, like I do think that knockdown could like really change things. I still do I mean. Regardless of that, Strickland was the side. Like that.
100%.
Like it's not even close. And honestly, I'd probably pick Strickland in a rematch just because Izzy can't land to his face. Like it's just like, I know that sounds fucking basic, but he literally cannot. He landed 20 head strikes. He got outlanded 80-20. And like all these fucking MMA media members, like they like dedicate their lives to break down these fights, and they like no one even looks that up, And it's just like you literally find it on Fight Metric. And I'm like, you guys are fucking idiots. Like Luke Thomas and all those guys. I can't stand that guy. But anyway,
I'm not sure about rematch. To me is like a little bit tricky because I feel like Strickland won that fight dominantly, and like I don't know. I just kind of feel like I'd make it quite close to the rematch.
I'm trying to think. What do I think the line's going to be? I think Izzy's going to be a slight favorite.
Yeah.
Just because he's Izzy. I think Strickland at any plus number is the side. I would line Strickland the favorite. Just like how it's just Izzy's inside the distance is just like, wait, when you can not touch someone in the head, you're just going to like and his leg kicks had no impact. I just feel like Strickland's strikes were so much more effective throughout. Like, honestly, I'm not joking. I think Strickland 5-0 is more reasonable than like 3-2 Strickland. Like, I don't. If you look at the fight metric numbers, there are 3 rounds you couldn't even debate, 1, 4, and 5 for Strickland, and then 2 and 3 were like very close, but Izzy didn't land any head strikes. Like, nothing he landed was impactful. And, like, I do think probably 4-1 and giving Izzy round 2 is the way to go. But like, even round 2, I felt like Izzy just kind of weaseled his way to like meaningless leg kicks. And he can't really separate in rounds, you know? And the cardio advantage is Strickland, man. Like, that's another thing. Like, Izzy got burnt out in that first Pereira fight with cardio, and I really think he would have lost that second fight by just getting walked down. He just landed a bomb against Pereira, you know. But
I was actually a little bit surprised.
Boys, man, we just play him every fucking fight. So yeah,
I was a little bit surprised is he didn't get like a single card out of 3-4-5. Again, I'm not saying I scored a for Izzy or anything like that, but like I just felt the rounds were close enough, like 3 and 4. It was just I was kind of
think
surprised.
4 and 5 are close. Like, I thought Strickland.
I thought 3 was. Like, yeah, I've seen enough.
Closer, I thought, but it was like 3 was closer, but I still thought Strickland won it. 4 and 5 were like not close, and the metrics like show that too. But I don't know. I just like the MMA media on this one. Like, I think Izzy's a good fighter. Like, I don't want to like he's a fucking bum. Like, I don't want to do that, but he's been overrated, like, for sure. But he's still a very good fighter. But just like Strickland's just been heavily underrated. Like his striking metrics, not even head strikes. If you just looked at his fight metric, just basic shit, was like literally like arguably superior to his. He defended strikes at a better rate. He defended his head way better, and then the strikes absorbed, strikes landed were like very similar, you know. And I just expected a tight fight. I thought the crowd would maybe get on Izzy's side, but he didn't land anything impactful to like for them to even cheer, you know.
I still think watching this, you have to say like Costa deciding to absolutely not fucking try is a bit like because like Israel clearly does not like when he gets crowd defense so much.
Like, he just got leg kicked and was like, I don't know what to do.
I know, but like, yeah, it's kind of a thing of the leg kick fights. Like, some people will bite the mouthpiece, and like that is the correct decision. Like, I know you might feel uncomfortable, but you're definitely going to lose out there. So you might as well try and make something happen, kind of situation. That
city kickboxing style, I think people of like evading leg kicks, like Goldberg, you kind of saw even. I feel like if Jung would have just pressured and gave Olberg no respect, like he started to have success.
Yeah, round 3 it was working for him.
Olberg's gonna get walked the fuck down by someone too, and like beat up.
Hoover, because I was looking at like the light heavyweight rankings, and it's like I feel like Olberg's next matchup is going to either be Gugabe or Roundtree. And like Gugabe could push it, but like isn't really that functional a puncher. And Roundtree versus Olberg would just be hilarious. Where it would just be like nothing would happen for massive stretches, and then somebody would just die.
Yeah,
like the issue with Olberg is like, I think of Olberg like there is a functional fighter could push it, could push it onto and make him work. Yeah, like I think Devin Clark or something could honestly beat Olberg pretty like clearly. But like if you look at light heavyweight rankings, everybody is just fucking is non-functional. Everybody's just like these very low tempo.
You look at Olberg's fight, and like I wasn't that impressed with it, and I had him parlayed up. And I was like, fuck. Like I even tweeted after I cashed the ticket. I was like, I don't think he looked very good, but I do agree. Like pressure boxing is the way to go, but it's like you look at light heavyweight and no one's good. Like, so it's like, wait, who actually beats him? But there are guys who would beat him, but light heavyweight is trash.
Like between like number 5 and between Johnny Walker, Anthony Smith, Ozdemir, like all these guys are just turn taking outside nothingness, sort of just like Jacoby's the only one I'd even like think about taking against him at this point. So, I think Olberg has a definite process flaw, but I feel like what he does is going to be fine at the top of light heavyweight.
It's going to be like 60% of the roster clean. Just imagine
there was definitely problems there.
Imagine that game at bantamweight, it just wouldn't work. You know?
Sure.
Yeah. Light heavyweight and heavyweight's bad. And this is very true. Athleticism is key up in it. At heavyweight and light heavyweight, athleticism is like maybe the most important thing. Like look at Ngannou. Ngannou's not good at MMA, but he's like a specimen. Anyway, But it was a fun fight. Like I don't want to be, I don't want to be the guy to be like Israel's a fucking bum after that fight. But it was like the line was off, and it was pretty obvious it was off. I didn't know, like, you don't know if Strickland's going to go out there and for sure win. I think a couple things went his way, and it made the fight more dominantly than like maybe it could have been. It could have been a little closer, but I favor Strickland in a rerun. Just like the head strike metrics alone, like just seeing how Strickland had the answer for those leg kicks, a fight where like Volkov, Tuivasa, I kind of thought Volkov would probably cover his line.
Yeah.
He did. He's just better.
Pretty much.
When Volkov's on, he's a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Picking up Volkov's like he's got this like now he's got this he's bulked up and that. I'm actually Volkov's again like as I said pre-fight, it was a combination. His defense can be a bit meh, and like he's had these like several performances where he's just rocked up with cancer, and it's just hard to lay massive juice on somebody after they've done that a few times because you just the issue of my issue about MMA, like MMA big juice, always the issue with it. All right, when your guy rocks up and looks good, your minus 200 probably looks minus 500. But you're actually betting that 10% chance they just have a shit day or the other guy gets a lot better. Like again, it's like that's the thing I feel like people forget sometimes with juice, where it's just
I think when you have to do it is when someone's better everywhere, and you could have argued that for Volkov. Like he is better.
Yeah, he was.
I want someone to be better everywhere, and also like variance to be minimized. And heavyweight, there is variance, but one thing I did bring up, because like I was doing my breakdowns on it, and I was like, "Fuck, Volkov probably is valued." Like on my site, whenever I was like kind of giving it the day before. One thing I did notice is like Volkov has only been dropped like 1 or 2 times in like 50 UFC rounds, and he's fought a like very good striker after very good striker. So I was like, you know what, Tuivasa is not winning unless if he lands a nuke, and he probably won't land it like 30% of the time, 40%, whatever. So I was like, there's probably value, but yeah, it's hard. Heavyweight just kind of scares me, and the fact that he just like hasn't looked good in a couple fights. But yeah, Volkov's a good fighter. Cop and Dos Santos is just on an incredible amount of steroids. Like these guys walk forward, do not get tired, and can take nukes, and they're still going insane. I was discussing this a bit.
Podcast. I was discussing this with Magic. We're just like, how the fuck does this make any sense? How is this random Brazilian guy just invented? Like doping is like a massive international. It's like it's $1 billion international industry, and there was some guy in Oliveira's camp. Where the fuck does Oliveira even train? Like there was just some guy in Brazil.
They all have blonde hair. They're all like kind of like skinny little fuckers for a little bit, and then they all get like lean and jacked. Like they just like they're like pre-roided Overeem, and then they become Overeem. Like people have been watching back then. He was a little bitch Overeem, and then he became the most jacked man alive.
But how the fuck did this one guy in Brazil figure this out? Like it's like surely like ATT or like surely there'd be somebody. How has nobody offered the person like? Again, like MMA camps talk. People know this shit's going on. So like, how is the head coach of ATT or something being like, random Brazilian man, here is $1 million to move to America, and you get what I mean? Like it doesn't. It's like if an NFL team just suddenly had like this insane physical edge, and it's like, well, no, they're doing something, but like how? Like this usually bleeds into the. Usually, like you don't maintain this gap for that long because like people get paid, people find out about what the fuck's going on. Like, it makes no sense.
I don't like to be the one to be like, these people are on steroids. I don't really do that, but like, it's pretty obvious that camp, there's something going on. I'm usually like I have to see it. I have to see the evidence, like concrete evidence to believe. That's just kind of like how my mindset is. But it's like circumstantial evidence. All these fucking guys just rock up with a similar attribute, and at one point they didn't look anything like that. And it's not even a thing of like skill improvement. It's just like cardio, durability, just like they do not get tired at all. It's fucking crazy. And they just spam volume and they all fight the same.
Like you do tape on these people. Like the tape is just like some random generic Brazilian like journeyman. Like they're not even good. They're like okay skills, and then they come to the UFC and suddenly they're like the best. They're fucking prime Kamaru Usman, and it's just like,
yeah,
what the fuck? This has happened. Like again, like I think you just have to blind bet anybody from that camp who makes a UFC debut because the market always does tape. Market's like, oh, this guy looks like he looks like a random Portuguese person. Like he looks like a random Brazilian. Like he can't be that good. Then he rocks up to the UFC and he's just fucking.
I did parlay up Cobb, so you can kind of make fun of it. But like Cobb still
minus 400 in the split decision. Hooray!
Okay, first of all, I will say that guy ended up being like
the exact same as the other 5 guys who come from that camp for the last 6 months.
That guy ended up being as good as like you could have expected, and Kopp still won kind of clean. Like he won all 3 rounds, in my opinion. Like they were competitive rounds, but Kopp was better. Kopp also could have wrestled more. Like he's way like that guy can't really get up from bottom, and Kopp can, so he could have done that more. But Kopp, it was still like a competitive fight. What were like the strikes?
I think Santos outlanded
99 strikes, but the head strikes were 77 to 53 in Kopp. Like Kopp deserved the win for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Kopp won the decision. Like, don't get me wrong. Kopp definitely won that decision, but like his margin was essentially wobbles.
Well, the way I said, because I was
and if you're betting Kopp, like
people, and there was a lot of parlay legs you kind of maybe had to do because there weren't that many close lines on the card, and I was like,
you don't have to parlay.
Oh, I know, but like I'm just saying, like, hey, if you guys want action, I was like, I think Kopp's a better parlay leg than Izzy. That's what I was saying, And Izzy was a bigger line against a way more proven good fighter in Strickland. Where this Dos Santos guy could have turned out to be a cab driver, but he ended up turning it to be a cab driver on a lot of steroids. So yeah.
But I just feel like Santos is like we've seen legit this happen 8 times in the last year. It's like this is not an inconsistent factor for like a jukebox man to just come in and just be like that. Like, again, it doesn't make any sense from like a sport point of view, but just I think at this point we just have to respect that Charles Oliveira is just access to absolute nuclear shit.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go quickly through these because we've been spending too much time. But Tafa KO'd Lane, fine. Pedro hit his win condition, winning early.
Yeah.
Olberg kind of just did his Olberg thing. You can tell he has to pace himself to not tire out. Jenkins kind of got fluked, although Mariscal started turning it around and around.
Yeah.
Jenkins won round 1 clean, but
Mariscal was winning round 2. And like I think the cage, like Jenkins didn't seem to have much of a solution to the cage push. Like again, like
Jamal,
not that he was like running away with it, but
and understand you need to grapple from the get-go because this guy cannot get off the cage. And Emmers is actually a takedown artist, where Mariscal's kind of whatever, But yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of my feelings. I saw people crying about Jenkins and be like, "Oh, my money line got blown up because of the injury." But like Mariscal was winning round 2, and like I feel like Mariscal had kind of like found the right thing to do. Like I'm not saying Mariscal was like minus 10,000 live and got fluked kind of, and like
yeah.
But like, no.
So this is what I think. It's like I see a lot of people like talking about that too. And Jenkins was minus 700 live on the book I saw, but I thought that was too wide because I thought Mariscal was like Jenkins won round 1. Round 2, yeah. Mariscal was winning that round. I do think he wasn't doing enough to where if Jenkins separated, landed a couple strikes, he could have got it back. And all Jenkins had to do was win one more round, which I think he probably could have. All he has to do is keep a round close, and he probably wins. And he did have that round unanimously, round 1. So, but still, like Mariscal kind of figured it out. He could have just won 2 more cage pushing, like he could have. So I would probably line Jenkins maybe a slight favorite going forward, but who knows? Like it looks like a pretty competitive fight. Like that was not a blowout.
Yeah, pretty much. Especially when like the Jenkins like big favorite case was all based on like Jenkins just like taking over down the stretch and like kicks that kind of shit, and he wasn't really doing that. So it's just like I had a little bit of Jenkins round 3 because I was just like, I feel like if Jenkins is having a good day, round 3 will look live. If he isn't having a good day, I'd rather lose in the plus 1400 but lose in the minus 150, or minus 200, whatever he was. But like he wasn't really getting the attritional going. Like again, like first round, dude, like he was definitely better like kickbox. Like first round was fine, but like round 2, just getting cage pushed by Mariscal after he'd already lost the leg, just kind of.
Yeah. No, I hear you. But anyway, let's go. There's a few other fights. We don't need to talk about them. Shane Young getting submitted was pretty funny. Anyway, let's go to the Shevchenko Grasso card. Grasso Shevchenko line's minus 150, minus 160. Honestly, I think Shevchenko probably should have won that fight. Like she was up on all the numbers. If you like look at that, she significant strikes were 87 to 59, and then she was up 4-0 on takedowns. Like She had 5 minutes of control to a minute of control of Grasso. Head strikes were 68-31 Shevchenko. She was a live favorite too. And it's just like, she does expose her back with her spin kicks and head and arm throws. So like, maybe Grasso gets the fucking back again. It's fully possible. Like if Shevchenko just doesn't do those two things though, she'll probably land the better strikes, probably get more takedowns and win. And that's kind of what I think of the fight. There might be value on, like, you got to remember, Shevchenko was -8 in that first fight. She was -900 when the failed spin kick happened, and then she got choked out. The fight ended up being a little more competitive than -800, but -150 might be like an overcorrection in my opinion. But like, Grasso could maybe compete on volume, maybe get the back or something. Like, she obviously has some ways to compete, win a round or two, maybe get a finish. But I lean Shevchenko here a bit. What about you?
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I'm not a big juice person, but like, there is like a worry if you get like a Usman situation where like Edwards fluked the second fight and then just Usman just looked shit the next time.
Yeah,
but like, I just feel like like Shevchenko, like, the striking was and is going to be competitive. Like, Shevchenko was like, each striking round was like 50-50, and each time Shevchenko finishes a takedown outside of the round of the fight. So like, if Shevchenko hits like one takedown, that means suddenly Grasso has to win like 3 out of 4 coin flips. And like, and there's versions of this fight where Shevchenko just takes it. Like, if Shevchenko just comes out with her wrestling shoes on or just like works proactively, I could see Shevchenko looking like minus 20 million. Well, I can't really see the Grasso minus case unless Shevchenko is just done. And even if Shevchenko is just done, women don't tend to fall off that badly. Like, I don't think Grasso is going to KO her. And like, I don't think Grasso ITD is a particularly frequent or likely path to victory. And it's just like, I think Grasso is drawing pretty clean. Like, drawing pretty thin. Like, again, I'll probably wait to see if the line continues to improve a bit. But there is that concern around the whole, like, does Shevchenko suddenly go off a cliff? But like, intellectually, I think Shevchenko minus 500 was fine.
The thing about Usman, he literally got knocked into Pluto, and it could like fuck with him. Shevchenko just got subbed. Like, it's like whatever, you get sub all the time. Like in like jiu-jitsu class.
I do think Shevchenko was looking a little bit flat. Like, compared to like Shevchenko, I do think Shevchenko's lost a little bit of a step versus what she is. But even then, like, she still was beating Grasso pretty convincingly.
She was up 2-1 in the cards and then got her back taken. That's what happened.
Yeah.
She probably would have won another round and probably won the fight. Like, she probably, and that's kind of the way I see it. And
if the fight had gone with it, and if there hadn't been a back take in round 4, she'd probably have been a throw. Like, another universe where there was no back take in round 4, she's probably out 3-1.
Yeah.
Like, again, like, my thing of Grasso Shevchenko, like the first fight, like, without Grasso just kind of high rolling the rear naked choke, I just feel like that's probably a 4-1 more often than not. Everybody's just like, oh, Grasso at the moment, but Shevchenko just kind of beat it pretty clean. But like, I can't really see how. Yeah.
Hopefully she just doesn't get her back taken. Honestly, if the line came in more, I'm like getting the point where it's tempting. Honestly, if it got to like -130 or something, I would play it. But yeah. I
don't think the over here is a little bit tricky.
What's up?
I think people want the over. My concern is like if Shevchenko grapples proactively, I think Shevchenko could just kill her. Like, I still do not like Grasso.
Probably in play here. Yeah.
Like, Grasso's tiny for the division, and I just think if Shevchenko just feels like really pushing the grappling, she could just tear her head off.
Both girls have been subbed enough too to where if like someone just randomly got a good position, shit could happen. I do think like, I don't hate the over, but I kind of think it's probably right. It should be favored slightly, and probably about right. Yeah. But at the same time, they're probably not going to KO each other, and like, overall, that did look like it was going to go the distance. Like, overall, and it just kind of was like a random little sequence. But random sequences can happen, and they will probably, Shevchenko probably will force takedowns again. So maybe some type of grappling finish could happen. But yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm going back to it because I'm all over topology. Holland and Maddalena, it's like an even line fight. I do think everyone does like hate Maddalena now, but he is even against Holland because it will probably be a striking fight. Holland won't grapple. Holland could have grappled Thompson and just like didn't. He would just let him up, So they're probably going to strike. How do you think the striking exchanges are going to go? I generally think it's going to be a pretty competitive fight. Like,
Holland is a lot more athletic and straight
I think
punch.
so too. Yeah.
Like we watched the Randy Brown fight. Della struggled a lot against Randy Brown, and the first time he got it, and he just happened to get the instant knockout. I just felt the issue of Della is like there's going to be a point in like 2 or 3 years we're going to look back on this Della run, and everybody's going to it's going to be one of these things where like people will just fucking memory hold the whole Della experience. Like Della will never have beat anything. People just like so many prospects come up and like people like this guy's going to be a future champion, and the second they lose, they just forget. Like Miguel Baeza a couple of years ago, people were like Miguel Baeza was going to be a fucking future champion, and now like nobody will even remember they ever liked Miguel Baeza kind of thing. I remember these hype trains. Della is not like that functional UFC striker. Like again, his pocket boxing is incredible. Don't get me wrong. Like it is great skill set.
Those exchanges here, like I think Holland's better at range, better with kicks. JDN's probably a
bigger hitter, better chin, grappling upside if he feels like it. Like I don't know, Della just gives me a weird vibe because like if Arnold Lusa had fought intelligently on the Contender Series, we never fucking hear about Della. He never gets to the UFC. It's just bizarre.
Yeah.
And Holland's chin is ridiculous.
I see some type of club and sub happening too. I don't know. I expect both guys to have success here. I think Holland's going to have success with his outside striking game. I think Della could like. Holland is a bit hittable too, like especially like down the stretch, and Maddalena can't keep up a decent pace. Like I think it's going to be. I don't have a lean here.
I think Holland like Mars
like now, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, like against grapplers, he's going to get fucked up. Against strikers, I think he'll compete fine. Like that's kind of the way I see him. You know.
I mean, I think this is a better fight for Della, but I just don't think Della is very good. So it's just like, Holland. It's better that Della is getting Holland than Brady, but like Holland is gonna most likely absolutely fuck him up, and it's kind of a shame that we're missing the fade here because like you have to take. I don't want to bet big on Holland, but like Holland just has physical tools here.
I do agree with this though, right here, where I do think Holland's striking, like he is beating up a lot of failing grapplers. Like he's beating some striking stuff, but I do feel like
what's Jack Della's career?
Him and like it's like when has he beaten like a real like Oliveira was trying to grapple him, Chiesa was trying to grapple him, Ponzinibbio struck with him, fine. Ponzinibbio is like a little older, above kind of over the hill. Thompson struck with him. Thompson's good though, and like.
What is Della's career?
People recently don't you agree? People are trying to grapple him. Like I'm not saying it's like Della's probably the best, one of the better like pure strikers he's like fought in the last fights besides Thompson. I think looking at the record.
Yeah, but what's Della's like? Della's like insta-gibbed, like Fred Babel. Like what? And they've grappled him, essentially stopped him instantly, then collapsed to him in straight body shot.
I do agree.
Which is bizarre.
Maddalena's like more of a threat striking than a lot of than fucking like Chiesa and all these guys. You know?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not saying Brown should be minus 5,000, but like I just think I'm not saying Holland should be minus 5,000, but like I just feel like he has strong tools and like he's going to completely peak off Della coming in. Like Holland should be like minus 150, minus 200. Again, like you've got to put the caveat of Holland being retarded. Like there was a universe where Holland fights this properly and looks like big minus. But like Holland, better durability, better power, longer. Randy Brown fight was not a great look for Della in terms of being stuck on the outside. Like he knocked out Randy Brown with his first head strike. Like he couldn't land a single head strike before that. Like maybe he's Nagano, maybe he just does that every time he gets into. Maybe he just does that every time he gets to a striking fight. Maybe Della just instantly kills people. But I think from the Hafez fight, like. I think Della's a good finisher, but I don't think he has nuclear power. He just seems more of a sort of pressure accumulation kind of guy. I think he's kind of a combination of high rolled and caught a bunch of people on the way out. And I just feel like in a couple of years we'll look at Della and it'll just be like another body at like low mid tier welterweight. It's gonna be tragic because in like 2 years he'll be fighting some guy off Tuesday Night Contender. He will be plus 250. I'll be like, I'm gonna take Della. He gives himself a good chance with his fucking flurrying. Like I remember that KO 1 streak. And then this absolute random guy from Tuesday Night Contender was going to fucking annihilate him. And I'm going to be in like 30 seconds. And the sort of circle of life will continue.
Yeah.
That's the big way this is going.
People like in striking fights, I think Maddalena will compete fine. And
I think he's a fine striker.
Like Sean Brady was like the missed opportunity for a lot of people. Sean Brady.
I agree.
You know.
Hafez was a fucking ridiculous missed opportunity. Like, you got plus 600 for a guy who was like coin flip at worst.
Yeah, it was a close. I still thought Maddalena won that fight, but it was a close.
He did win the decision, but I'm not dying he didn't win the decision, but he clearly had issues, and like plus 600 on half was an insane price.
Yeah, like it's weird. I do agree there were some sketchy striking exchanges in that fight with like Hafez and Maddalena. I just I honestly, I probably will pick Holland to win. Just like the more I think about it, I'm gonna watch a little more tape on it, but it's weird because I do think Holland has beat a lot of like grapplers who weren't trying to strike with him. I question his striking defense a little bit. Like I know he's durable. I know he's very potent offensively. He's good range tools. He's got a great chin. But when someone's actually swinging back, like I kind of want to see more of him. He slowed down a bit versus Wonderboy because he like went so aggressive later, and then he just got the shit kicked out of him. But this is a 3-rounder. I think Holland will fare better in 3 rounds. Do you think that too?
Yeah, I mean, I think 3 round definitely suits Holland more. I just like Holland actually has a body of work. Della doesn't actually have a body of work. He just kind of has.
Yeah.
Like the only meaningful, like he doesn't really have a meaningful UFC win.
Yeah. Yeah. I
don't
know.
What? Maeve. Yeah. Holland. He's not athletic. He's just not. Like he has very good combo boxing. Like, again, I think he might be one of the best combo boxers in the UFC. But it's not a skill set to have in isolation. We already had this guy when he was called Alexejczyk. I just do not like. Come on, people just get stupid about quick knockouts.
Rosas Jr. and Terrence Mitchell. Rosas is probably going to sub him early.
Should do. Yeah.
I mean, he's a rifle favorite. Like this guy. Yeah, this guy like seems like an early finish or bust guy. He's like a bully grappler, and Rosas Jr. is a better submission grappler. But I'm guessing Rosas. I like the under is like also like expect the under 1.5 is like minus 270, which is nuts for a line like this. But Mitchell never fights after fights over a round. He's never won a decision before. My guess is he gets his back taken at some point and gets subbed. You kind of think the same thing. There's probably not going to be enough like everything's juiced towards Rosas, so you can't really like play it or anything.
Over 1.5 plus 200 seems a bit crazy in this weight class because it's just like if Mitchell just plays negative, if Mitchell just kind of jogs away from him for 5 minutes, it's like it's hard to submit somebody who's not trying to play jiu-jitsu with you, or who's just not trying to grapple. Yeah, how it says it's just like Mitchell will probably spaz into it
because his guard retention looked terrible, but it is a steep price to pay. Like you need like everything to go your way. What if they just they both urgently grapple, so they're probably going to the floor. But what if they just randomly decided to strike, outside shit? Like, shit could happen. I've seen weird fights go over. There's been many fights I'm like, there's no way this, goes a distance, and they have, so shit happens.
What if Mitchell just decides to like hold on to half guard or something? Like again, there are grappling spots where like, we both grappled. Like I've had situations where I've been against like guys who are incredible grapplers, and just because I'm being negative as fuck, they can't sub me. Again, it's a question of what Mitchell's going to do. But like if it's just one of these things where it's just like, all right, Rosas doesn't shoot for 2.5 minutes, then Mitchell just kind of holds on to half guard or something. It's like suddenly like 5 minutes is not that long. It's not that long in the amount of time. Not that much to play the over, but I do feel like it's kind of stupid.
Zellhuber and Giagos. What do you think here?
Zellhuber being absolutely terrified of grappling with what's his name? Ogden. Like Zellhuber completely shut up shop because he was terrified of grappling with Ogden, and like Giagos could get him down. But on the other hand, Giagos only has 7 minutes of cardio. Kind of weird. Like I'm tempted. If I was going to play Zellhuber, I'd rather take like KO2. I'll probably take a little bit of KO2 free or something, just because I feel like that's probably his upside kind of thing. Because Giagos gasses so badly, and like Zellhuber's bottom game and Giagos's grappling doesn't seem proven. I mean, Zellhuber's grappling doesn't seem proven.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's just like Zellhuber, he has like very good cardio, and he has very good measurables for a guy his size and that kind of stuff. And like the Lando fight seemed like improvement.
Yeah. It's weird though, because when fresh, Giagos, like I think live betting Zellhuber would be better. Like just like I feel like all the upside for Giagos comes early, and he could win that first. Like honestly, fresh Giagos is like maybe a better fighter, but it's just he has no cardio,
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I see it. What's Zellhuber line like? Minus 230 last time I checked. Something like that.
About that.
Yeah. He's not that proven, Zellhuber. And yeah, like Giagos isn't like a bad striker, and he isn't like a bad grappler. It's just he guesses. But I don't know. Giagos needs to fucking go to that guy in Brazil, and he'd be like a top 10 lightweight. If he just got all that insane cardio, insane durability, like he would be a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, I agree. Like again, Giagos is like fine skills. He just only has them in 7 minutes, which is a big issue with lightweight.
I do think Zellhuber will probably win. I do think like playing him live would be a better option, just because like Giagos might win early, and I've gotten some great lines against Giagos like live. I remember Drakkar Close, you got him like even after a round. It was clear he was just gonna fuck him up later, you know.
Wasn't Close kind of weird? I mean, like Close, like he almost took round 2 or something. Like he have a takedown like last, like I mean he was gassing, but I feel like
there was a great line I remember, and I was like, oh, like Close had started to take over a little bit in round 2, and the line was still very, very competitive. And it's like Close is going to probably win this round. And round 3 was like 10-8 shit, and it was foreseeable, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah. Nelson, is that the next one? Nelson and Padilla.
I think if Nelson fights like he did last time with the control wrestling and that kind of stuff, like this guy's just like a random Mexican. He's like he's big, but like he cold cocked a Rosa, but like I understand that's good for his power rankings, but like it's a Rosa, he gets cold cocked every. You know, a Rosa has like 50% chance of being KO1 by fucking anybody. Like you look at the Rosa's career, it's just like he just starts. He has Cerrone chin, like he just is a Cerrone, and he just gets knocked the fuck out every so often in the first round. I think Nelson will pass, but again, I also understand pass, but like I just feel like this Padilla is like there's some bad grappling type of him on the foot. There's some bad grappling footage of him in the regionals.
Of him on the bottom, yeah.
I think Giagos and Nelson, like they're pretty similar spots. Where just I find it very hard to. I would not like. There's a big enough chunk that like they just get absolutely annihilated. They just absolutely annihilate the grappling, and like I would not play minus 250 when there is a chance where it just looks like plus 300. Yeah. Like, again, my standards for minus 250 is I've got to expect the guy to hit like 20 takedowns. Like just personally, that's how I tend to bet. But like, yeah, it just like. I can see the UFC's trying to do a setup, but I think Nelson's not necessarily the right setup place, but also I don't rely on it. Like Nelson seems unreliable to do anything, but like Nelson tends to kind of, even when Nelson's having a bad day, he'll still like go in there and swing like a wild man, that kind of stuff.
He's been fighting tougher lately too. Like he's gotten through fights. Like because I've always questioned his cardio. Like I do think Padilla is like a better striker for the 15 minutes, but Nelson looked a little better on the feet, like a little more processed in his last fight versus Builder, even though Builder's not like a great striker or anything, but I'd favor Padilla on the feet. I think he's probably a little more dangerous too on the feet. Nelson can crack a little bit early, but he's not like super dangerous. And then on the mat, that's like I've seen this guy kind of out-grappled by Ige, and then I think Spike Carlisle as well.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been tested there like a ton lately. And I'm worried about that because Nelson lands 1.37 takedowns per 15. That's not a ton, but he attempts like 7 takedowns. And if he just attempts if he attempts 7 takedowns, he could land a couple takedowns and make this fight interesting. And that's kind of like what I was aiming at. Maybe Padilla subs him, like he's got some sub ability. But yeah, like I think the pick's Padilla, but it's like a fight I'm not very interested in. I think they're kind of seeing how, like I do think if Nelson is competitive, he'll probably have a good early round, you know, because he comes out a little hot. So it's another like live betting spot. Like I'd rather be with Padilla as well.
Yeah, I could also Nelson might have 10 takedowns against Choi. Like if you told me Nelson was definitely doing a Choi game plan, I would have to take him at plus 200.
Yeah, he can kind of grapple. He's sloppy in some spots. He can get his back taken, but it's like
but this guy seems very sloppy.
Yeah. Are there any other fights that are catching your eye? There's a couple I haven't taped. I've taped most of them. Is there anything catching your eye or anything that the commenters want to talk about?
I like Fremd a lot against Kopylov. I think Kopylov just lacks kind of upside, and like Fremd will grapple a bit, and like Kopylov seems awful if you ever put him on his back, and like I think striking would just kind of be a sort of meme. Like, how does Kopylov cover minus 250?
If he can stop
even then, like
grappling upside, and he's a more potent striker for sure.
He's a better striker, but he's not a busy striker.
It's just I see what you're saying for the margin of error for Kopylov, because like if he gets taken down, he's looked very bad there, but he is hard to actually get and settle down. And Friend isn't like a great takedown artist, but he's tough enough to where like something could happen if he got on top.
But also, man, I think it's like, even if it's like pure kickboxing, like Kopylov doesn't like how was like Kopylov's like career stats? Like he doesn't tend to really separate in striking.
Agreed.
Like, sorry, Arno's.
Yeah.
Kuno Halo is like the only time he's ever like actually put a volume on. Is the only time he's ever like outlanded somebody massively. Like Ribeiro, Evans, Chirico from memory. I think the entire sort of volume margin was the finishing flurry.
Yeah.
Because through 2 rounds against Chirico, he outlanded them by like 5 strikes. Like that's an issue of even if Kopylov gets a kickboxing fight, I just don't think he's like Kopylov minus 200 in pure kickboxing, probably right. And the second any sort of grappling gets involved, for him to immediately becomes like a gigantic favorite. So it's just like, I just don't see how you can arrive at this price. And it's not like Kopylov even has good cardio. Like they're both a bit sloppy and that kind of stuff on stretch. But I feel like, where is the upside in Kopylov? Cortez the Cortez fight's solid. I find that quite interesting because it's just like Jasu will outwork her.
Yeah, I haven't taped that yet. My initial lean, I need to look at Cortez's defensive grappling more. The thing is about Jasmine seems hard to get and keep down. And it's like, she'll pressure you on the feet. So like part of me was actually I see a lot of love for Cortez. Part of me was leaning Jasmine, but I have not taped yet. And like, these are the type of fights, these grappling exchanges that like, I really have to tape. Like there's some fights I can look at metrics and kind of go off memory and I'm like, this is probably how the fight's going to play out. But this one, I like really need to look at the grappling exchanges. I really want to watch Gatto and Cortez. I feel like that will give me a little bit of a read.
I mean, with Cortez, she does take the back, so I think that does give her a bit more stickiness than a lot of people against Jasuda. I cannot pronounce that name. Yeah. But like that.
Who do you favor on the feet here if it plays out on the feet? I feel like, look, I just haven't taken this fight.
I mean, if Jasu just kind of goes for it, I think she could just outwork her. But like Jasu just kind of is a mess standing, so it's just like even like the Maverick fight for her, I felt like I was rewatching that and I was like, she won it clear, but like I still think if Maverick just didn't allow for grappling, there's probably versions of that where Maverick just kind of outstrikes her for like 10 minutes. They were both just like Sudovicus never had a shot.
I have to take this, so like I might come out thinking Cortez is minus 300. I do remember just thinking like. Going into this fight before tape, I'm thinking like whoever gets top will be really important. And I do remember Jasmine being hard to like hold. I remember being very impressed with like her defensive wrestling, but there wasn't a lot of tape of it going into the UFC. But I remember seeing some exchanges against Maverick and whatnot where I was like, that was pretty good. But Cortez is a better like pure wrestler than Maverick. So I just need to watch it. I do like Jasmine's just cardio and come forwardness. Like I think that can like matter a lot. But I just need to tape it. Like it seems like a pretty fun, good, close fight, like on paper. But I just need to tape it. I haven't taped. Those are like you need to tape those fights to get a good read, in my opinion. But I have to go in a few. Sorry, I have to roll. But what's the next card?
Viziev Gamrot. Gamrot dog there makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Gamrot just gets on top eventually. Unless you think Viziev's knocking him out over 5 rounds, it just seems horrible for Viziev.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that. I have to roll, but good talking to you, and thank you for everyone for watching, and we will see you next week.
Gotcha. Thanks for listening.